In this video, we are going to be looking at examples of how to add and subtract fractions using the cross multiplication trick. So first, what we want to do is multiply the denominators by each other so that we have a common denominator. So 9 times 5 gives us 45, so we're going to put both the denominators as 45. Now to get the first numerator, we're going to take the first numerator of the fraction we've got and multiply it across with the second denominator. So 7 times 5 gives us 35. And now to get the second numerator, we're going to use the second numerator of the fraction they've given us and multiply it across with the first denominator. So 2 times 9 gives us 18. And now because our denominators are the same, we can just work out the numerators, which are the top numbers. 35 take away 18 gives us 17, and our denominator stays 45. Now we could simplify our answers, but in this case, 17 is a prime number, which means we cannot simplify it anymore. So our final answer for this question is 17 over 45. For number 2, we are first going to need a common denominator for both these fractions. And to do that, we can multiply 7 by 14. 7 times 14 gives us 98, so we can put 98 as our common denominator. To get the first numerator, we multiply the first numerator, which is 4, by the second denominator, which is 14. 4 times 14 gives us 56. And to get the second numerator, we multiply the second numerator across with the first denominator, and that gives us 21. Now, because our denominators are the same, we just need to work out our numerators. So 56 plus 21 gives us 77, and our denominator stays 98. Now we need to check if we can simplify our fraction. We know that 77 is a multiple of 7, meaning 77 appears in the 7 times table. So we just need to check if 98 also appears in the 7 times table, and we can do this by dividing it by 7. So 9 divided by 7 gives us 1 with the remainder of 2, and 28 divided by 7 gives us 4. This means that 7 times 14 gives us 98, and 98 is therefore a multiple of 7. So 77 divided by 7 gives us 11, and 98 divided by 7 gives us 14. And this cannot be simplified any further, so that is our final answer. For number 3, we first want to multiply 6 and 4 to get a common denominator, so 6 times 4 gives us 24. To get the first numerator, we are going to do 5 times 4, which gives us 20. And to get the second numerator, we are going to do 1 times 6, and that gives us 6. Now we can just take away our numerators, so 20 take away 6 gives us 14, and our denominator remains 24. Because these are both even numbers, that means we can definitely divide both of these by 2. 14 divided by 2 gives us 7, and 24 divided by 2 gives us 12. And that is our final answer. Sometimes when we are adding fractions, one of the fraction, or even both of the fractions, may be mixed numbers. So as we can see for number 1, the first fraction, which is 1 and 1/4, is given as a mixed number. What we do in this case is that we change the mixed number into an improper fraction. So if you are not comfortable with converting mixed numbers into improper fractions, then I will put a link in the description box for you to check out. So if we convert 1 and 1/4 into an improper fraction, that gives us 5 over 4. The second fraction is just a proper fraction, so we can keep that as 5 over 12. And now in order to add these, we can first multiply both the denominators in order to have a common denominator. So if we multiply the denominators, 4 times 12 is 48. If we cross multiply, to get the first numerator, we multiply the numerator across with the second denominator. 5 times 12 gives us 60. To get the second numerator, we multiply the second numerator across with the first denominator. 5 times 4 gives us 20. So now we can just add the numerator. 60 plus 20 is 80, and the denominator stays 48. Both of these numbers are in the 8 times table, so we can simplify this fraction by dividing both of these numbers by 8. 80 divided by 8 is 10, and 48 divided by 8 is 6. We can further simplify this because they are both divisible by 2. So if we divide by 2, we get 5 for the numerator and 3 for the denominator. Now this is a top-heavy fraction, meaning the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So we can write this number as a mixed number. We can write this as 1 and 2/3. So again, if you are not comfortable with converting improper fractions back into mixed numbers, you can check out the link in the description box. For number 2, we've got 2 1/3 take away 4 over 5. So again, the first fraction is a mixed number, and in order to convert that into an improper fraction, we do 3 times 2, which is 6, add the 1, we get 7, and we keep the denominator 3, and we are doing minus 4 over 5. So in order to get a common denominator, we can do 3 times 5, and that gives us 15. To get the first numerator, we cross multiply it with the second denominator, and that gives us 35. To get the second numerator, we do 4 times 3, and that gives us 12. So our denominator remains 15, and 35 take away 12 gives us 23. Again, this is a top-heavy fraction, so we can do 23 divided by 15, which gives us 1, with the remainder of 8. So we put 8 as our numerator and denominator as 15. This is a mixed number in its simplest form, and that is our final answer. So this question says, Maria is baking cookies. She needs 3/4 cup of sugar for one batch and 2/3 cup of sugar for another batch. How much sugar does Maria need in total for both batches? So because the question is asking us to find the total, we would have to add both the cups. So we are adding 3/4 of the cup plus 2/3 to find the total. So in order to do this, we can first multiply the denominators by each other, which gives us 12 as the common denominator. To get the first numerator, we do 3 times 3, which is 9. And to get the second denominator, we do 2 times 4, which is 8. 9 plus 8 gives us 17, and the denominator stays 12. Now this is a top-heavy fraction, so in order to write it as a mixed number, we can write it as 1 and 5/12 cups of sugar, and that is our final answer. So here is another worded problem. Sarah has read 1/5 of her book in the morning and 2/3 of the book in the afternoon. How much of the book has Sarah read altogether? And how much of the book does she have left to read? So for part A, we are being asked for how much she has read altogether. Now, because we are looking for what she has read altogether, that means we have to add what she read in the morning, which is 1/5, and we're going to add it to what she read in the afternoon, which is 2/3. So first we are going to multiply 5 times 3, which gives us 15 as our common denominator. We then multiply 1 times 3 to give us 3, and 2 times 5 to give us 10. 3 plus 10 gives us 13, and our denominator stays 15. So Sarah has read 13/15 of the book. For part B, we are being asked how much of the book does she have left to read. So first, we've got to understand that the whole book represents one whole. From part A, we found that Sarah has already read 13/15 of the book, and therefore we can write our one whole as 15/15 or 15 over 15, just so that we are keeping the denominator the same to help us with our calculation. So if she's already read 13/15, that means what she's got left to read will be the whole book, which is our 15 over 15, take away what she has already read, which is the 13 over 15. 15 take away 13 is 2, and the denominator stays 15. So Sarah has got 2/15 of the book still left to read. This question says, a container has 7/10 litres of juice. After drinking 3/8 litres, another 1/4 litre was added. How much juice is in the container now? So we're first going to start with the 7/10 of the litre that we've got. And because we're told after drinking 3/8 litres, meaning that has been taken away from the container. So we're going to take away 3/8 of a litre. And we first multiply the denominators to get a common denominator, which is 80. And then we cross multiply. 7 times 8 is 56, and 3 times 10 is 30. So we have 56, and we are taking away 30. That gives us 26 over 80. And we can simplify that using our 2's to give us 13 over 40. So after drinking 3/8 of a litre, 13/40 is left in the container. After this, another 1/4 litre is being added. So we have to take the 13/40 and add a 1/4. So again, we're going to multiply to get a common denominator, which will be 160. 13 times 4 gives us 52, and 1 times 40 gives us 40. If we add that, we get 92 over 160. And we can simplify this using our 4's. So 92 divided by 4 gives us 23, and 160 divided by 4 gives us 40. So 23 over 40 litres is what is left in the container now. So here we've got a few practice questions. So please feel free to pause the video and have a go independently, and then come back to see whether you've got the same answers. So for number 1, we are adding 2/3 plus 7 over 18. So first we are going to multiply 3 and 18, which gives us 54. We are then going to multiply 2 times 18 for the first numerator, which will be 36. And for the second numerator, we do 7 times 3, which gives us 21. We then add 36 and 21, and that gives us 57. And we put that over 54. Now these numbers can both be divided by 3. So we do 57 divided by 3, and that gives us 19. And 54 divided by 3 gives us 18. Now because this is an improper fraction or a top-heavy fraction, we can write this as a mixed number, and it will be 1 and 1 over 18. For number 2, we can multiply 15 and 10 to get a common denominator. That will be 150. The first numerator will be 110, and the second numerator will be 45. 110 take away 45 gives us 65 over 150. And if we simplify that using our 5's, we get 13 over 30. And that is our final answer for number 2 in its simplest form. For number 3, we are adding a fraction with a mixed number. So first, we would have to convert that second fraction into an improper fraction. So we have 5 over 12 plus 5 over 4. The common denominator would be 12 times 4, which is 48. This first numerator will be 20, and the second numerator would be 60. 20 plus 60 is 80, so we would get 80 over 48. We can then simplify this fraction using our 8's. So 80 divided by 8 is 10, and 48 divided by 8 is 6. We can still simplify this using our 2's. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 6 divided by 2 gives us 3. Because this is a top-heavy fraction or an improper fraction, we can write this as a mixed number. So we can write 1 and 2/3. For number 4, both of these fractions are mixed numbers, so we will first convert them into improper fractions. The first one will be 17 over 5, and we're taking away 17 over 10. To get a common denominator, we can do 5 times 10, and that gives us 50. The first numerator will be 170, and the second numerator will be 85. 170 take away 85 gives us 85, and the fraction will be 85 over 50. We can simplify this using our 5's, so the numerator would be 17 and the denominator would be 10. And again, because this is also a top-heavy fraction, we can write this as a mixed number, and that would be 1 and 7/10. Number 5 says, a recipe calls for 5/6 cup of sugar, but Mia only has half a cup. How much more sugar does Mia need? So Mia has only a half, but she needs 5/6 cup for the recipe. So to find out how much more she needs, we can do 5/6 take away a half. To get a common denominator, we can do 6 times 2, and that gives us 12. the first numerator will be 10 and the second numerator will be 6. So 10 take away 6 gives us 4 and the denominator remains 12. We can simplify this using our 4s. So 4 divided by 4 is 1 and 12 divided by 4 gives us 3. So Mia needs a third cup more for this recipe.